Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here with a quick Pokemon Unite video to help pass the time while we wait for the game's release. Still July, boys. Nothing's changed that. So what I want to do is talk about the Pokemon's stated difficulty by the developers and then the perceived difficulty that I experienced during the beta. This idea came from Atroske in the Verlisify fan Discord. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I feel like I've pronounced it in the past and ended up being right. Either way, one of my biggest complaints about Pokemon Unite, aside from Crustle being overtuned in every way, is that Absol is not an expert tier character. This thing plays itself. You just pursuit dash near them, auto target jump onto them, and then if you have Sucker Punch, you can use Sucker Punch to get behind them and then reset the pursuit, and then you just do insane amounts of damage and crit. There is really no skill involved to Absol. Maybe trying to hit more than one person with your Unite move, and that's about it. Also, another interesting thing is that I haven't looked up the difficulty for a lot of the Pokemon, and I forgot most of them anyways, so a lot of this is just going to be a reaction. Either way, Absol is the biggest one. It's also an inspiration for making this video. So let's see what expert class characters are in the game. Cramorant. As a Cramorant main, I guess I'm just that now. I wanted to be a Snorlax main. I got too filthy on Cramorant. This Pokemon is really weird to play, and ability placement is absolutely crucial. You need to put Whirlpool in the perfect spot if you want to win lane and secure kills. Also, if you miss Hurricane, you're going to die to their Absol, Lucario, or one of their diving characters. Same thing for Surf. Like, if you don't get the Surf Hurricane combo, well, there goes all of your damage, and the auto attacks around this Pokemon kind of weird. Now, the ult is, I'm not going to say easy, I'm going to put it more intermediate because it auto-targets the closest thing and just does damage to them. But if you're too far out of range, they walk out and then nothing happens. And if you ult in the middle of a team, well, they're just going to pile you and you die anyways, and then your game-changing ult just kind of fizzles out. So still needs to be pretty good on placement. I would say just like intermediate 80 carry experience on when to pop it and how to get it going. But yeah, everything else, if you just misplay a little bit with your abilities, you get heavily punished. And also Gulp Missile, trying to weave that passive in there. Even though you're not like an AD character, you're more of a mage because of your ability reliance. Everything about the kit just needs to come together. And if it doesn't, you are going to be in trouble. So yeah, let's hit that expert again. Next up, we have Gengar, and I honestly don't know what to say about Gengar's difficulty because it seemed to be the weakest character in the roster during the beta test. So an expert Gengar, I just feel like it's not going to be able to put out as much impact into a game as any other character being played at high proficiency, but you are pretty frail, and you have to be really sneaky, and you have to kind of like optimize everything to get what you can out of your underwhelming kit. And also the Unite move is kind of weird to use correctly, and you are playing around with stealth and stuff, and there is combos. I think that's where the expert comes from. You need to Sludge Bomb so you can Hex. You need to land Shadow Ball so you get on them, and then your Dream Eater lands, and everything gets a little better. And you are frail while you're playing in melee range as an assassin. Like, I guess, but to a degree, like, I still don't know what the devs are going for when they're like calling out like a Pokemon as expert or intermediate or novice. And because of aim assist, skill shots don't really feel like they're heavily skill weighted. Now aim assist can mess you up, and it is better to just do manual targeting to like lead and predict shots and stuff, but a lot of the game does feel pretty forgiving when trying to use abilities. However, yeah, if you miss any of your abilities on Gengar, you're just completely useless, so that could be kind of problematic. Maybe the expert difficulty also comes in utilizing your jungle for like, or utilizing your passive to do very efficient jungling and then having like really good routes and ganking and pathing and stuff. But again, Gengar was so underwhelming, I didn't get to feel it as a good jungle. I'd rather have a Lucario or an Absol or someone bust out with that early gank and then do way more damage to have way more of an impact than Gengar. So yeah, I don't know where it stands on difficulty. Greninja. I'm going to give Greninja more of an intermediate difficulty, to be honest, because again, like, Greninja kind of plays itself, and it has a lot of damage, and as an AD, you just auto-target one of the characters, and you kite around them, and then you do a lot of damage, and yeah, the character, much like Absol, kind of plays itself, and I don't consider it too crazy of a Pokemon. It does have that low endurance, 4, 4, 4. So I mean, like, endurance does seem to be a trait because, like, yeah, if you get caught out and blown up by all the crazy things inside this game. Now, I can see a case for Greninja being an expert when played at the highest level because you do have melee auto attacks, you do have ranged auto attacks, and you like dash in and then you can like get all of these extra things, and then getting the most out of your passive can be pretty impactful. But I also see difficulty as like an entry tool as well. That Absol, no, you don't need to be an expert to play. Anyone can pick up this thing and just be nasty with it. However, Cramorant, you can't just pick it up and be good with it, which is why a lot of people have it like C tier or lower on their tier list, and they don't think it's that great of a Pokemon. Like Greninja, it's just always good. So yeah, if you want to get into Greninja, intermediate, just know what you're doing. If you want to master Greninja, yeah, I'd probably say it's expert. Lucario, probably in the same boat. It felt very free when I was playing Lucario, so like really easy to get into, but then I've seen very nasty Lucarios both on my team and on the enemy team, and I can't figure out how they did half the things that they did. So you come in on the extreme speed or power punch, you get to stick on them that way. Also, managing cooldowns is going to be pretty important on this character, and then with Bone Rush or close combat, it's combo attacks as a melee. So if you miss them, you are kind of oofing a lot of your damage output, and you are vulnerable while using them, and then you can be played around like that. So with the 5 endurance, and I would also say the importance of like those early Lucario ganks or managing your very early laning. Yeah, Lucario probably earns that expert, to be honest. And what was that? Lucario's last one, so that's it for expert. Feel like there's a couple characters missing here. Let's see where it goes. Intermediate. So let's take off that. Let's check it out. I don't really have anything to say immediately about this. Like, yeah, Garchomp, it's kind of free on the 1v5. It can be hard to use to make sure you're landing everything right there. But you just like dash in and then you unga bunga people as long as you're chaining auto attacks together. You're getting good amounts of healing. Machamp, Machamp is just kind of like a less impactful all-rounder than Lucario. But when Machamp ults, it's way stronger than Lucario. And I guess making sure you get the most out of your Aura Sphere does add a little bit to Lucario's skill cap, even though Aura Sphere doesn't really have too much of a game-changing amount of damage, even if you hit 5 people with it. But with Machamp, the character's just kind of average, you know, you're just kind of doing whatever the entire time. But then, when you use your Unite move, you become S tier for however many seconds that ends up going on, and really, it's kind of easy from there, because you just run on people and you beat them up, and you submission them, and you pull them back, and then you just kind of wreck. So, yeah, I guess it does kind of take that intermediate difficulty to just kind of balance out the Pokemon, and then make sure you're as effective as possible with your very strong Unite move. However, Mr. Mime absolutely needs to be an expert tier. I think it's kind of in that way of Cramorant, except even crazier. A really good Mr. Mime player can shut down entire teams by himself. That Unite move is insane, but also getting like the right pushes and the right wall setups, what this character is capable of is absurd, but it's not free. You really have to earn it. You really have to find the right time and placement and CC chains, and then you really have to just set up your allies for success. And if you do that, yeah, this Pokemon is absolutely insane. Also, the laning kind of weak, but again, if you're like an S-class Mr. Mime, then you can just kind of do whatever you want at any stage of the game and be really powerful. But outside of that, a lot of people are going to look at this trolly, weird little character that can easily be very underwhelming and just say, yeah, low tier, needs something. When really, I think that it's like secretly the most OP character in the game with the highest skill cap. It's just one of those things. When you see an absolutely ridiculous Mr. Mime on the enemy team, you're gonna be like, oh, that's what he was talking about. We need the game to come out so you can really understand that if you didn't experience it during the beta. But yeah, Mr. Mime, pretty wacky. Ninetales, you have very low endurance, but you're like a wall of CC to get onto that. So I say intermediate, pretty fair for that. Yeah, not too easy, not too expert. Slowbro is just kind of weird, but I don't think there's any like high skill cap to Slowbro, so intermediate feels fair. Venusaur, very offensive character, has like a lot of weird things. I did consider it kind of low tier, so I think, yeah, intermediate, and then same for Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff just slaps so freaking hard in the early game that you have a lot of control in those early skirmishes, so kind of plays itself. Sing also pretty brain dead, just kind of put everyone to sleep. And then I think there is a pretty good skill cap on your Unite move to make sure you're like getting the ultimate effect out of it. But I will say there is one expert element of Wigglytuff, and that is going to be the rollout. I feel like to get like the optimal rollout path or the optimal rollout bounces inside of fights or like mobility or backdoors, it's going to take a very long time to like understand. That's kind of an alt playstyle. You can just go sing and then brain dead it and then be intermediate. But like rollout also does some really stuff. If you hit an obstacle, you will change direction and the cooldown for pound, double slap, or dazzling gleam is reduced to 0. So what you want to do is you want to just slap on like 2 people in a fight, roll out through them, bounce off a wall, come back, and then come back and slap them again. Like, that's some insane stuff to make sure you get it just right in fights. So the skill cap there is absurdly high. So if you get really good at that and you're just putting like crazy AoE damage and disruption into fights, or if you're like split pushing and winning 1v2s with those shenanigans, yeah, Wigglytuff, much like Mr. Mime, secretly one of the strongest highest skill cap characters. But I feel like overall, like you can just be successful on Wigglytuff in an intermediate kind of way, but Mr. Mime I think takes a lot more skill to actually be successful on. So there we go, that's all the intermediate. And then just like that, we're on to the novice characters. So even though I feel like I'm going a bit more into detail than a short video would ask for, this is what we got right here. Charizard, I think it could actually be intermediate because I've seen a lot of Charizards just kind of really fall flat. You're really weak until you hit Charizard, and then Charizard is kind of middle of the pack, if not middle of the pack, -1 or so, until you Unite move and then you're going crit build, but then you're kind of useless otherwise. So yeah, like landing the abilities, having the most impact as Charizard, kind of hard to do. But I've also seen to where, yeah, the Pokemon is pretty forgiving, and the Unite move is pretty strong, so low intermediate. But Novice just doesn't feel right. I don't know, comment down below. Tell me what you think about what I'm saying, or what Pokemon you think belong where. Cinderace. I want to say that because Cinderace is an 80 carry, it is in that intermediate, and because it has one of the highest carry potentials, it could be expert. But now, Cinderace is free to play. Cinderace is like the Absol of 80 carries, in that it just plays itself. And as long as you have the most basic of kiting skill and a little bit of survivability instinct, you're gonna be just fine. Then you Unite move and then you wipe out team or you steal Zapdos, and the fireball, if you're just kicking that really far away, it's got a big hitbox. It's really hard to miss. There is like that ability juggling towards like you want to go ability auto attack and then you thread that for the most damage. So I don't think Novice is quite fair for Cinderace. Intermediate to like be really successful on the character for sure. But you also have like that get out of jail free card with the invulnerability on one of your mobility moves, so that's a little silly. So yeah, depending on like the level of play, I guess that's where like Cinderace comes in, but it's not hard to be very successful on Cinderace. Early game, pretty weak like it is for a lot of the evolution Pokemon, so I'm gonna say probably intermediate, but there are a lot of novice elements to Cinderace to where it's like, yeah, a really good intro character into ADC, and then understanding like kiting and placement and stuff like that. Crustle. As much as I say that Crustle is like brain dead easy, I don't consider it novice, because there is a difference between really good Crustles that are doing the stupidest things in the game and just okay Crustles that are abusing an already really good character. Anyone that doesn't have Crustle as S tier hasn't gone up against good Crustle, so that shows there's a skill expression there that at least puts it in intermediate. But at the same time, when you're simultaneously the fastest, hardest hitting, tankiest Pokemon in the game with one of the most absurd Unite moves out there, kind of free. Eldegoss feels like it's kind of brain dead novice, but I feel like if you really want to get proper Pollen Puff placement or proper shielding into healing combos and then just keeping your team alive forever, that takes a bit more skill. Like high intermediate to get the most out of Eldegoss, but also since it is a support character, it is like one of the most intro supports ever. We just kind of like hang around and heal, and then you get a feel for supporting and helping people, and then you kind of grow into the character pretty well. But I think once you like hit the skill cap of Eldegoss, then yeah, it does a lot of ridiculous things, and it feels pretty overtuned. Not gonna say S tier overtuned, but needs a nerf to where fights aren't lasting for 10 years, especially if there's 2 Eldegoss on each team, and Buddy Barrier also needs to be brought in line. So there's a lot of things that are like lifting up Eldegoss that make it feel easy, but I think if you want to have like that perfect level of Eldegoss play to where it's like, oh, now it's starting to get oppressive, yeah, then there is higher skill cap there. But Eldegoss, it's kind of hard. Actually, no, I was about to say it's kind of hard to screw up, but no, in the beta, I saw a lot of Eldegoss to screw up. Like, this thing was always way under-leveled beyond any justification for, like, EXP share, and if you have a bad Eldegoss on your team, it's a 4v5. It doesn't matter. Like, there's not enough just inherent brokenness to the character to where an unskilled player can save it. So actually, yeah, I'd have to put that into intermediate. Honestly, not too many novice characters, or like if they are, they're misclassified. Pikachu, absolutely novice though. You hang back like a screen away, and then you have like the auto-targeted abilities or big AoE, and you just kind of spam things at the opponent, and they die because you're ridiculous. So yeah, Pikachu is easy. Snorlax. Since I focused on being a Snorlax main for probably 30 hours on the beta, I personally want to say it's higher skill cap than Novice, but it really isn't. Like, yeah, if you get big brain about it, and then you like flash and you wall people in your team, and you're getting perfect wall splits and perfect knockups and perfect unite moves and everything, your impact is higher than a novice character should feel. But overall, it's kind of hard to screw up Snorlax. You get a heal inside of your laning, you have a stun, you have a jump, you have mobility on a tank. You also have a wall capability. If someone gets too close and you choose Yawn instead of wall, they're just put to sleep instantly for free without really any kind of skill required whatsoever. You have incredibly high endurance, so there is a lot of just mistakes you can make on this character and then not get punished. Like, you just sit there and soak things and maybe whiff a hit or two or have like a bad wall, and then you're tanky enough to where it's all going to come back up and you get another chance. And then that's when you do thing right. You unite move, you get all your health back again. It's absurd. Yeah, Snorlax is pretty ridiculous. Like, if you have Malphite ult into an Azir ultimate as basic abilities, yeah, it's kind of easy. So if you're really good at landing it, then it just makes the character just multiply in power to a really high degree. But overall, I'm going to say Novice. And same thing with Talonflame. I would say that's probably at the bottom of A tier, but you just kind of like run around and then have some impact, and then your night moves. Like, everything about it is just pretty good. But I don't think there's any way of being like an expert Talonflame that does any kind of crazy things. Like, the character is a good intro into speedsters outside of Absol, but like, Talonflame isn't a speedster assassin, Absol is. So it's like, yeah, if you want to learn speedsters, you want to like get into a little bit of jungling and learn how to gank and move around and then like hurt at people, then yeah, that's kind of it. Talonflame though, doesn't really do too well in team fights. I don't really think there's much like optimization outside of that, so you just play Talonflame. Talonflame is Novice because it just plays. So yeah, I don't have like any resorting or moving around like a tier list or anything like that. But overall, I think that's my thoughts. Most of the Pokemon classified correctly. Some of them, I think, where it comes like down to skill expression, could be a little different. A lot of intermediate characters. I don't think any of these should really be Novice. And then Expert, it seems to be more based on like durability or weirdness and not Absol. So I think that's where we are right now. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.